Okay, now the technical side gets really interesting. All of the 4-power pressure points are just places for you to become aware of certain things. But power is created in the leverage system within the power package, and the power package is the arms. So where does the power come from? There are 4 main sources of power within the golf swing. One is what we call the right arm thrust. So we pretty much know that this right arm is pretty bent at this point, okay? As it begins to come down, then it begins to release. Now it's always bent at impact, not straight. For anybody that's got it straight, this will be a reaction to some other things going on. But it's bent at right action, and then you get this thrust through that there. Some people used to call this the old Bruce Lee 1-inch punch, that he could knock somebody out just by straightening that last part of either arm. So in this case, it's that very last bit, and of course we could monitor that with with a pressure point. So that's one. Number 2 would be the wrist set. So in other words, this wrist set is specifically designed to work on this plane, and so we make the wrist set, and that's power. That's power. Power. Now we throw that out way before we get to the bottom of the swing, but when timed with everything else that's going on, that comes in. The next one, and probably the most interesting one as far as I'm concerned, because it actually does coincide with our ability to have the club face square at a certain time. It's this angle here between that we create, so we can have it flat up the palm, and if you see, if I just rotate my forearm, that club head moves very little in the time that that's squaring. However, if I put an angle in that and then rotate this forearm through the wrist, you'll see how far that club head goes. So the more angle that we have in the wrist, the faster this has to turn. But then we can see that that club face isn't square for too long. So we can actually, for those people that already hit the ball a long way, then we could actually reduce this angle to help that club face square a little more. But for the most part, we just want to know, you guys that want to hit it a lot further, it's the speed of which this forearm is rolled, okay? But nevertheless, we must stay square to that club face. And the next, the fourth one is just this left arm going down, this connection here, how that goes down and then gets thrown off. And we'll talk a little bit later on about hinge action. So this is how you make power, okay? And it's mostly this one that none of you do. Basically because you're coming from outside the plane line. So mostly at this point you're coming up, and in your coming up, this arm stays bent and goes upwards. So there's actually no power coming out of that forearm roll. We'll go a little bit, I would like to go into greater detail with that, but it's certainly one of those things that I would prefer to deliver to you one-to-one, because I need you to become aware of what the movement is, how you feel it, how you sense it, and get it right before you go away and practice. But have a look at how you're creating power and see whether it compares with any of these movements when we put them together. So i.e. we make a wrist set, we start that left arm down, the right arm begins to fold, the wrist is uncocked, and then the left arm starts to roll. Go and explore this again. If you want to see a little bit on Facebook, I've looked at some on YouTube. I've looked at some of the things on YouTube. Some are okay, some aren't quite so good. They're people's interpretations, but the base understanding will help you go away and practice them and then come back to me with your questions. In the meantime, as always, stay safe.